Spider-Man Far From Home is now in theaters, and this is the 23rd film in the MCU. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. And it's the continuation sequel of Spider-Man Homecoming, as well as a continuation of Avengers Endgame. And after the events of Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man, he's trying to get back to his usual ways, his usual life. He's trying to travel in Italy. He's trying to show MJ that he really likes her, as well as balance his friends and his home life. But there's also a problem. Nick Fury and Mysterio both need his help with a mission with stopping the Elementals. Whatever, I didn't read the comics. But they need to try and stop them. But at the same time, Spider-Man, per usual, he has to try and balance all of this. And he's a young teenager, so he's going through life trying to figure all this out, as we as the audience are as well. I wasn't really that excited for this movie, if I'm being honest. I really liked Avengers Endgame. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed that movie. But I was like, really? Like, this is the end of the phase. Like, Spider-Man Far From Home is what is considered the ending of the MCU to this point, with the new characters that are going to be obviously following it in the footsteps of everything that happened in Avengers Endgame. But I was like, really? This is how you're going to end it? But after watching the movie, I have to say, I enjoyed it. I was surprised that I was going to enjoy it because based on the trailers, I was like, all right, it's cool that you have Jake Gyllenhaal. It really is. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't think there's someone that likes him more than me. I really dig him. I mean, Nightcrawler is one of my favorite movies of the past 5 years. I really dig him as an actor. And at the same time, I was kind of like skeptical because how many villains has Marvel actually had that were good? I know, crickets, just cricket noises, because they always get actors that are really good. You know, Mads Mikkelsen, Tom Hiddleston, Michael Keaton, but they always like underutilize them. I feel like they're underbaked. But Jake Gyllenhaal was actually good. I think he did a really good job with the performance. The first half of the performance was like, but it makes sense given what happens in the second half, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but in the second half, he goes full-on Nightcrawler, and I loved every second of it. Second half was pure Jake Gyllenhaal, and I loved it. As far as the characters, like other characters, I enjoyed what they were doing with Spider-Man. It did remind me a lot of Spider-Man 2 in that regards, with the whole balancing of things. I know that Homecoming technically did that, but I think this did it better. In fact, I will go so far as to say I liked this more than Homecoming. Homecoming I thought was except for Michael Keaton. But with this one, there are some twists and turns in the second half that I think really do elevate the film. As well as the mid-credit scene, I think was excellent. I thought it was really, really, really good. I loved it. I also really liked how, again, the second half, I have to emphasize that, because the second half, it does certain things that, again, I'm not going to get into because of spoilers, but it does certain things that I think not only help propel the plot forward with the MCU, but also propels the characters, you know, of Mysterio, Spider-Man, MJ. There's just certain things that they do with those characters that I really, really dug. Also, I think some of the humor didn't work. I'll get into that in negatives, but then there were other stuff that I thought was pretty darn funny. I also really liked the visual effects. I thought that, for the most part, they really worked. Again, the second half. Like, this film really is two halves of a movie. And I'm going to get into the negatives now, because I'm tired of just saying, yeah, the second half. The first half is not good. I'm just saying it right now. I did not like the first half, really. Everything about it just really, really was kind of either cringeworthy or just kind of like, like from the cinematography to the visual effects to the character interactions. Like, some of the character interactions were cool, but it was just kind of like, But then the second half, there were certain reveals and certain twists and turns, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, it makes so much sense. With the visual effects, it's like in the first half, you're like, wait a minute, why are the visual effects so And then the second half, when they give the big reveal, it's like, oh, it's like, that makes sense. I like that. I like that. So it's one of those things as a critic, I'm like, okay, I had problems with the first half, but the second half kind of fixes it. So I'm kind of almost conflicted as a viewer, because I really did not like the first half, but I think the second half almost elevates it a little bit. But that's not even the biggest thing that I have a problem with, is the first half, is the fact that the movie ends on, I'm not going to spoil it, but the way it ends, it's like, okay. But then the mid-credit scene happens, and it's like, oh, wow, that was great. But then it's like, wait, hold the phone. Why didn't you have that mid-credit scene be the actual ending? Like, that would have been great. It would have been like Watchmen, Dark Knight. It would have been really good. They had to put in the mid-credit scene. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, you know, because when it says the end, that's the end. It's like everything else is just kind of like a bonus almost. Like something you would almost see like on the DVD or Blu-ray. So at least for me personally. So it was kind of a personal preference. It would be the equivalent of, for those of you that haven't seen Black Klansman, it would have been the equivalent of Black Klansman with the way they end that movie, with like the cross burning and everything. It would have been the equivalent of if that scene in Black Klansman was in the mid-credit scene. So it's like, okay, well, you take out that whole cross burning scene and everything, and the whole Trump rally and everything, then the movie would have ended on a happy note. But I just kind of got that vibe. It reminded me so much, like literally as I was watching Spider-Man Far From Home, I was like, this is kind of like Black Klansman, where it's like, except Black Klansman actually had the balls to have an ending where it was like, oh, wow. Instead, this movie, Far From Home, it's like, no. We're putting this in the mid-credits. And I'm like, come on. So it's just a personal preference, I guess. But for me personally, it's like, come on. It's like the editing team just should have had the guts to put that at the very end. But nonetheless, the mid-credit scene is great. The end credit scene is great, too. And I think for me personally, it does elevate this movie a bit more to me. Because I honestly probably would have just given this a passing rating. But I do truly believe that although the mid-credit scene is great and they should have put it at the very end, I think the mid-credit scene and end-credit scene really does elevate this movie above just your standard Marvel formula. As well as the second half. I know. Take a drink for every time I say second half. Nonetheless, guys, to sum it all up, because I know I'm all over the place, kind of like this movie, Spider-Man Far From Home, it's an entertaining film. It's a movie that everyone's going to see. You know, it's been making a lot already. It's entertaining. It's a throwaway movie, but at the same time, with everything that happens towards the end, it's more of the sum of its parts. It's elevated by that. And I think that at the end of the day, you'll probably enjoy it because, again, it is a blockbuster. It's a family-friendly movie. And you know what? Screw it. You know, Spider-Man Far From Home, I'll be giving a 3.5 out of 5-star rating. For those like a hot sauce rating, it gets a good old Texas Pete hot sauce rating. So that's my review, spoiler-free. It was very difficult. You know, I was wondering, honestly, just kind of like a little bit of YouTube exposition. I follow a lot of other YouTubers, and I saw Midsummer Tuesday instead of this because Midsummer was my most anticipated movie. So literally the next day, that Wednesday, yesterday, I literally was flooded with a bunch of just spoiler reviews for Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm like, why? I get it's a big movie. And then after seeing Spider-Man Far From Home, I'm like, oh, that's why you did a spoiler-free review. So I'm going to do something I normally don't do now. I'm going to get into spoilers. So from here on out, I gave my review. I gave non-spoiler stuff. So, all right, here on out, spoilers. So I really dug what they did with Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio. I think that it was kind of cool that he was very illusion-based. I liked that because it made so much sense with the visual effects in the first half, how nothing really was convincing, at least for me personally, and it was just kind of underwhelming. It's like, really? The elements, they're the ones that are the bad guys? Like, come on. It just reminded me of like Clash of the Titans or Wrath of the Titans, but then when you realize that it is in fact just illusions by Mysterio, it's like, oh, and he has the whole syndrome thing. He's doing the whole thing that Syndrome from The Incredibles did, and I was like, that's cool. I like that. As well as I liked how the mid-credit scene, you know, he blamed Spider-Man for everything, and the whole world is now out against Spider-Man, essentially. I liked that. Liked how the Skrulls were taking over for, you know, Nick Fury. Really dug that. There's just a lot that I really dug about the second half. But, again, that first half. But, anyways, I just had to get that out of my system, guys. Again, that was just a couple spoilers I had to get out off my chest. Nonetheless, guys, after all that exposition, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think about this movie? Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.